say I'm a little bit frustrated would be a hell of an understatement. That cut was symbolic for how General Motors is treating Chevrolet. Smashing some wood off the table, a bit dramatic. Also a representation for how GM is treating Chevrolet. I don't know if I can proudly tell you this or if I just tell you because it's fact, but I've been a GM fan, Chevrolet fan, since I was 3 years old. Told the salesman I was going to buy a Corvette at 3 years old. Knew what it was, wanted it, thought it was cool. I'm now 32 and I feel no different. However, as I've grown up and watched the different brands change and approach different markets, it's been very disappointing to me to see that General Motors just does not care about the dilution of Chevrolet amongst the automotive industry. I sound a bit nasally because I'm getting allergies. I'm actually allergic to bullshit, and that's what GM just keeps releasing. So I'm becoming subjected to the bullshit that is ongoing. I was going to make this a Blazer video and crap on that. I was going to make this a Silverado video and crap on that. And then I thought to myself, you know what, let's save everybody some time. Rather than make 3, 4, 5, 6 videos and see which one does the best, I'm going to make one video and it's just going to do great because I'm a little bit pissed off. So while we're out here hanging out in my little slice of heaven, my workshop where I create magic, I make things that people actually want. Let's talk a little bit about the crapshoot that GM is seemingly funneling themselves into. I knew the electric Silverado was en route. I did not anticipate it to come out looking like an Equinox. I knew that the Blazer was going to get some sort of an update. I don't mind some of the styling changes, but the SS came out all electric, and I guess this is their shot at the Mustang Mach-E, but I don't really understand the vision. I don't understand the long term. But when I look at the styling, I love the current Silverado. The masculinity, the boomerang running lights. It's very square. It's very bold. It's very masculine. And that's what I'm looking for out of a truck. In my opinion, it is the most masculine truck on the market. Ram, I think, is last. They're very rounded, bubbly, European looking. That's not my preference. I really like that brawniness going down the road. I like how angular and attacky everything feels when you see it, and I see them on the road every day. My neighbor down the street has one, my neighbor on the other street has one. They're everywhere, and I really, every time I see one, I get excited. Even though I know these guys and I've seen their trucks 1,000 times, I'm still excited to see it. And when I see this new rounded out bubbly design, I just, like, in my brain cannot understand who they're targeting when I'm one of their strongest supporters. Always have been. And now I'm sitting there going, I have no desire to own one. So I made a video a few years back on my dream Blazer SS video. Like, what would it be? What would I want in it? And it was basically the ATSV platform. So the twin turbo V6 pushing 460-ish horse. I don't need these 700 horsepower Hellcat motors and everything. There's kind of a balance between the base model being really boring and 700 horse just being totally unnecessary, where you can fit in the middle of the 450 range and have a lot of fun with it, but you're still never going to utilize it. Like, I've never seen a Trackhawk road coursing. Like, I've seen them at the drag strip, but I've never seen them at road coursing. I've never seen them canyon carving. I've never seen them, like, out here enjoying some of the country roads, or you're just going stupidly fast in a straight line. So bringing it down a little bit and getting kind of where my Camaro's at with the 455 horse, to me is a sweet spot. You get to use some of it, not all of it, you're going to jail. You get to enjoy it, but you know there's always a little bit more, but you're never bored. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds. Whereas now they're just going electric, and I would assume it's just Mach-E competition. They don't really care about the brand, the identity. They're just going to pretend like none of that happened, and now we're going onwards. Sometimes it just feels good to let off a little steam. Before making videos, I try to reflect upon the market and where it's at, and if I'm going to sit here and crap all over GM and what they've done, where would I spend my money? If I had, let's say, 60 grand burning a hole in my pocket, I wanted to buy a compact-ish SUV to have more fun and do more things, what would I buy? It's going to be a Bronco. And I personally feel like an inspector walked in the Ford plant, found the problem, circled the Ford, and walked out. Like, not a Ford guy. Their steering wheels are gigantic. It gives me, like, rotator cuff issues from doing the old pirate ship turn. Like, you try to do the wheel thing and you just hit yourself in the junk, and you're like, what kind of idiot designed this? Fords are not for me. They drive fine, they hold up fine, they're no better or worse than GM, in my opinion, but it's not my thing. I like so many little things about the GM that's why I keep coming back around. I like the steering wheels, their infotainment systems. I don't need a 75-inch touchscreen to wrap every inch of my life. my Camaro is still my favorite car. It's just amazing. Everything is so well balanced and flows, and the 8-inch touchscreen is great. The infotainment or the heads-up cluster is great. Everything about it is really, really nice. So I'm not picking or choosing one based on a single piece of tech or a single piece of, but the Bronco came out and it just did and had, and now the Bronco Raptor's coming out and it did and had more. And I'm looking at the Blazer and I'm like, man, they could have done anything with it. They could have rebranded that same SUV with a different name and done essentially just a knockoff of the Bronco, do some off-roady stuff, do some, again, we're coming back to masculinity. We're coming back to, and I know society is very, you can't be masculine anymore, but I am, and I like who I am. Masculinity doesn't mean I have to be mean to people. It just means I do what I do and I am who I am. So embrace it, enjoy it, run with it. Like the Broncos, sales have been great, feedback's been great. Ownership experience feedbacks have been great. And I'm looking at it like, how did one company knock it so far out of the park and one company bury it? How do you end up in two totally different worlds like that? I do understand why everybody's coming back and making more efficiency and more this and more that and diluting the brand so that more people want to own it, but nobody wants to own it. So if nobody wants it, then what did you achieve? Was that the goal? Was the goal to have the worst product in your segment? And you can, the Blazer is stupidly overpriced. It's very, very expensive for what it is. The features are mediocre. The styling is mediocre. The interior is mediocre. But it's priced entering full-size SUV territory, well-equipped pickup truck territory. It just is not the right market segment and not the right price ranges. And then you look at the Bronco Raptor and you're like, wow, like it's very heavily priced for its market, but there's no market. There's nobody else building a cool off-roader with all these capabilities and all these traditional values built into a vehicle with modern, turbo engines and more efficient things to help as much as you can work around it. I think we can also all agree pretty fair across the board that people and our society has developed this yearning for spending money. We want, we need, we turn on social media. Johnny down the street's got his pickup truck on a 30-inch lift with 50,000-inch tires. He burns 40 liters per 1 kilometer, like whatever. Like everybody loves that guy and envies that guy. But then when they go in and buy vehicles, they're buying Teslas, they're buying Hyundai Konas, they're buying Ford Escapes. Like they're buying these realistic vehicles that are super efficient for things they're doing now, but then they're idolizing or even just appreciating what other people are doing and just blowing money on gas and not caring. So Ford's kind of taken that and they've kind of offered both. They've got the Mustang Mach-E that is all electric. They've got the Bronco that's all off-road. They've got the Raptor, both the Ranger and the Silverado, which is super cool and off-road. And GM's Silverado lineup, like the Trail Boss is cool. It's literally a 2-inch lift. That's it. I guess maybe an inch bigger tires because that changed everything, right? They come out with the ZR2. It's really the same truck with a little better suspension. And they updated the interior a little bit, which they were doing anyway. So it's no ZR2 exclusive. It'll be everywhere. And then they really have nothing else to offer. Ram came out with the TRX. Unfortunately, they're so late to the game that it's not only playing catch up, but they're kind of swinging at a market Ford's already hunkered down. And I do think the TRX is the best truck. I think what they did from a marketing perspective with the Raptor being eaten by the T-Rex underneath the hood engine cover and like the scaling chart and the glove box stuff, super cool, like best marketing ever. But it doesn't have the market share and the following that the Raptor does. So they're both kind of their own things, but they're the two best in their segment of what they do. I don't know, like the Mercedes 6x6, I guess, which is like $750,000 and an irrelevant conversation for just about anybody. And I don't even like or buy German cars, so it wouldn't mean anything to me even if I could afford it. I'd have a Raptor and a TRX at that point, and then tires and gas forever. But bringing it back, GM has just decided rather than be good at anything, be in the top segment of anything, they're just going to be okay. When is okay good and when is okay not good? They come out with the Corvette, mid-engine, it's super cool. It's supposed to start at $60,000 US, which is like 75 grand Canadian. They hit dealerships, shortages, COVID, chip shortages, just Everything compiles up. The cars are hard to get. Dealership markups are $20,000, $30,000. And now that car, which went from being the best bargain and fun to do, is now starting to compete above its price range. And you're starting to talk like base model Porsche money, base model this, base model that. That's a tough argument. Porsches are great. Nobody's going to argue that. Again, I'm not a German guy, but when I'm going to spend 110 to 140,000 bucks, if I'm not considering a Porsche, I'm not a car guy. So they're doing a good job, but they kind of cut their nose off to spite their face a little bit. The Camaro's good. It's not great. It's outdated now. They haven't really done anything with it in years, which is just depressing. I love my car. I wish I had more money to put into it and enjoy more out of it, but I don't, so I'm doing what I can do. But even then, like, I will pull up next to a Mustang V6 and that guy will tell me his car is the fastest sports car ever made. It's the fastest muscle car. It's this, it's that, it's the other. And I'm like, shit. I just drive a Camaro. I don't win nothing but nothing. I don't win nothing. I don't race nothing. I don't do nothing. I just let them have their minute because they clearly need to flex on me that they did something. So you go do you. So they're in a segment. I would say the Camaro is probably the best of the muscle cars, even though I think Dodge is the only muscle car really left because the Camaro is really a sports car. It handles like nothing. The Mag-Ride is great. All my shocks went at 100,000 K, so my car rides around all clunking and stuff. Like, there's just lots of little things they don't tell you when you buy the car and things that are going to transpire down the road. And of course, it's out of warranty. Like, they pretty much all will be by the time it gets to that point. So you gotta kind of roll with the punches on that one. Get ready to spend some money. I'm actually just looking at some alternative suspension options. Leave your comments below if you have any ideas. So they built some good cars. They built some good value products in the truck car market. And then everything else, they're so generic and diluted. I can't say I'd recommend them over anybody else in any of the other segments. Ford came out with the GT. It is like one of the coolest mid-engine cars, period, end of story. Very expensive, very exclusive, but very, very cool. But they're also competing with Ferrari and Lamborghini and all them. So, like, you start talking about the best, you have to include those, even though they're more money, because they are the best. Like, you got to be fair. You got to, and you can argue value proposition, but you buy a Ferrari for $450,000, you're selling it for $500 the next year, and you're like, well, I mean, who doesn't love making $50,000 on a car? I mean, I wouldn't say no to it either. And if anybody wants to throw me $50,000 over what I paid for my Camaro, cars for sale. Just say. Maybe somebody needs my car specifically, despite some dents and scratches and marks and stuff. Anyway, love it. It's all yours. So, when you look at it as a perspective, they're the best at nothing, they're the worst at nothing, they're just blah. And the brand just seems to be getting further and further and further diluted. And I'm just getting really fed up as a GM fan, a GM enthusiast, and I can't represent a brand that doesn't even want to represent themselves. I've sold more Camaros than the commercials have because the commercials are horrible. Their marketing is horrible. Their design team just doesn't seem to understand what they're designing or who they're designing it for or what it's doing. They just make the weirdest decisions. And I am so fed up that I am making this video to just tell GM, like, I really hope they see this. You need to pick better people. You launched the C8 Corvette, and you put that Hartford girl, whatever it is, fastest whatever mid-engine Camaro, and I will not subscribe to her because she was very harsh to GM about the car for locking their ECUs and then pulled the motor out. So she's not running an LT2 V8 with all their tech and engineering and it's the fastest. She's running a 427 Texas speed motor, twin turboed with Holley Dominators in it to make it all fast. Well, once you do that, you're now competing with Cletus McFarlane, who has 427 twin turboed cars. They're not mid-engine, but they're a hell of a lot faster. So then when you put that into perspective, they're slower, but then they bring her on as a, sports car enthusiast content creator who has literally botched her car to not be her car the car anymore, and then giving her the credit and praise she didn't deserve. Again, interesting marketing decisions. Rather than take somebody who buys the car and just enjoys it, just relishes in the opportunity to enjoy it. They take her who's just botched it. Again, somebody made that decision, somebody had the conversation about it, and somebody dropped the ball. I am so disappointed. My next vehicle will more than likely be a Ford, because GM offers me nothing for what I'm looking for, and they just don't seem to care. So I cannot back my money, new or used, in anything that they are offering. My ideal vehicle right now would be like a 2006 Ford Ranger with a manual. I just think it's a much better truck than the GM offerings. I would never consider a Dodge. So we're pretty much stuck. I'm pretty much stuck in that category. I want a small, fun truck to play with that's used. Parts are cheap. I can make parts. I will make, who knows? I might learn to weld. Maybe we'll make some cool, fun stuff for the truck. It's just so tough. And I'm just so disappointed that I might as well just enjoy something else. I'll make content and help promote and sell Fords. It might sell new ones, but having an old one could be fun too. Right? Am I right? Probably not. Am I wrong? Also probably not. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I've given this a lot of thought. I've been embedded in this brand for a long time. I've been to all the auto shows on press days and talked to their people of different titles and whatever. None of them really give me the time of day. None of them really talk a lot. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, you're a kid with a camera, you go do whatever. But then I go to these car shows and I go to the car meets and I go to the dealerships and I see the excitement around the brand. And unless you physically own a Camaro and talk to another guy that owns a Camaro, nobody cares. You might as well drive a Prius. Like, people just don't care. And that's where I kind of come full circle. Like, the Corvette's a little more special and people care more. They might not know everything about it, but they know it's special and they know it's cool and they know it's a Corvette. The Camaro, I've been asked more times what year Mustang I have than I have what's under the hood of my Camaro. Gas stations, car meets, clients' houses, you name it. Anywhere I can go with that damn car. What year Mustang is that? My uncle had a Mustang back in '82, and it was really fast. It had like 300 horsepower. Like, what's your Camaro? Because I have Camaro. And I refuse to call it a Mustang, but what's your Mustang got under the hood? Oh, it's got a Chevrolet engine, actually. Yeah, I swapped it. Yeah, I'm running a 7.3 liter out of a Super Duty under the hood of my Mustang, and I'm putting out 315 horse. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew that, but why not? It's a Ford thing, right? That's what we do here at FordFansUnited.com/being cool people stuff. I'm just so frustrated. I don't even have words to represent accurately how I feel about this, but I wanted to share with you guys a few of my thoughts. That's it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments below. Let's talk about it. Somebody needs to pull their socks up and start being big boys. General Motors, thank you. Have a good day.